You know what nobody talks about, but every single person in a relationship will face at some point the moment when he's excited, you're in the heat of intimacy, everything is building up, and suddenly his joystick goes soft. That moment that feels like a nightmare to him, an awkward confusion to you. Let's be honest, it's one of those things that can kill the mood if you don't know how to handle it. But here's the truth, it doesn't have to kill the mood, and it doesn't have to damage his confidence. In fact, if you know what to do in this situation, you can turn that moment into one of the most powerful bonding opportunities you'll ever have with him. Because the way you react when he's soft reveals more about you than how you behave when everything is going smoothly. Any woman can be sexy when he's rock hard. The real magic happens when he's not. That's when he sees whether you are someone who understands, who reassures, and who knows how to lead him back into desire without shaming him. That's the secret most women never learn. Now, let's start with something important. A soft joystick does not mean he isn't attracted to you. It doesn't mean you're not sexy enough. It doesn't mean you did something wrong. Men can go soft for 1,000 reasons. Stress, exhaustion, performance anxiety, even just overthinking in the moment. His body isn't a robot. It responds to emotions, to nerves, to hormones, to sleep. But here's what you need to know: to a man, going soft can feel like failure. It can trigger shame instantly. In his head, he's thinking, she's going to think I'm not into her, or I've ruined the moment, or worst of all, she'll compare me to someone else. That's the storm inside his brain. And if you don't handle it right, you can accidentally confirm his worst fears without even realizing it. That's why this moment is so critical. Key point number 1 is this: don't make it awkward. The absolute worst thing you can do when he's soft is freeze, pull back, and make it seem like a disaster. Because the second you do that, he feels judged. He feels like the intimacy between you has been broken. Instead, I want you to normalize it. Smile, keep touching him, stay connected. Show him through your body language and your energy that this doesn't scare you. Because the truth is, every man has been there. And the woman who makes it feel safe instead of shameful is the woman he will crave more than anyone else. Key point number 2, shift the focus. If his joystick isn't cooperating in that moment, take the pressure off it completely. Kiss him deeper, whisper something playful. Explore his body in other ways. Touch his chest, his neck, his thighs. Remind him that intimacy isn't only about whether he's hard. When you shift the focus away from his performance and onto connection, his mind relaxes, his body calms, and very often that's when his desire comes flooding back. Men get hard in their bodies when they first desire you, but they stay hard in their minds when they feel safe, adored, and free from judgment. You can create that safety in seconds by making intimacy about more than just his joystick. Think about it. Imagine if you were in the middle of being intimate and suddenly your body didn't respond the way you wanted. Maybe you felt too dry. Maybe you weren't aroused yet. Maybe you froze for a moment. How would you want your partner to react? Would you want him to look disappointed, confused, or worse, annoyed? Of course not. You'd want him to keep you feeling sexy, to reassure you that it's okay, to make you feel like nothing is wrong. That's exactly what he needs too. Because when you give him that same reassurance, you tell him with your actions, I want you, not just your erection. I want all of you, not just the part of you that performs. And that message is more erotic than anything you could whisper in his ear. Key point number 3 is about confidence. Do not take responsibility for his softness. Many women instantly blame themselves. He must not find me attractive. I'm not enough. I must have done something wrong. Stop right there. This isn't about you failing. It's about his body reacting to stress, pressure, or even just bad timing. When you carry yourself with confidence, when you keep your energy playful and sexy instead of self-conscious, you take the pressure off him. You signal that you're secure in yourself and that his softness isn't going to shake your desire. And do you know what happens when you do that? 9 times out of 10, he gets hard again because the pressure is gone. Men don't get aroused in a space of judgment. They get aroused in a space of freedom. But here's the deeper truth. How you handle this moment doesn't just affect that night. It affects how he sees you long term. If you respond with grace, humor, and sensuality, you become unforgettable. You become the woman he knows he can be real with. You become the safe space he craves. And that more than perfect technique is what makes him addicted to you. Because intimacy isn't about avoiding awkward moments. It's about transforming them into deeper connection. And ladies, let me say this as clearly as I can. The most powerful women in intimacy aren't the ones who always have the perfect moves. They're the ones who make a man feel accepted even in his most vulnerable, imperfect moments. When you can smile, keep touching him, whisper something like, "Don't worry, I love being with you," or "You drive me crazy regardless." You take away his shame. And when shame disappears, desire comes roaring back. That's when he relaxes into you. That's when he starts to feel free again. That's when the soft joystick stops being a nightmare and turns into a beautiful moment of intimacy. Now let's go deeper, because the way you handle this isn't just about saving the moment. It's about unlocking a man's vulnerability in a way that makes him bond to you on a whole new level. Think about it. When he goes soft, he is at his most self-conscious, his most fragile, his most exposed. In that moment, his ego is whispering lies to him. You're not enough. She's going to lose interest. You failed. And most women don't even realize this inner battle is happening. They just see the surface. But you, if you want to be unforgettable, you've got to see what's happening beneath. Key point number 4, use reassurance to build intimacy, not pity. There's a fine line between it's okay in a way that makes him feel emasculated, and it's okay in a way that makes him feel desired. Men don't want to be pitied. They don't want you to act like you're mothering them, but they do want to feel reassured that you're still turned on, that you're still into him, that his softness doesn't erase the chemistry. So instead of saying something clinical like, "Don't worry, it happens to everyone," lean in close, kiss his neck, and whisper, "You don't have to prove anything to me. I already want you." That subtle difference takes the sting out of the moment while keeping the erotic energy alive, because here's what men crave even more than sex itself: the feeling that they are wanted by you, the feeling that you're enjoying them regardless of what their body is doing in that second. If he feels like his worth is reduced to whether he's hard or not, he will pull away emotionally. But if he feels like you still see him as sexy, powerful, irresistible, he will come back stronger, both in his body and in his heart. That reassurance becomes a weapon against shame, and shame is the true killer of intimacy. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine you're in bed with him and suddenly he goes soft. Instead of looking disappointed, you smile, slide your hand across his chest, kiss him slowly and say, "I love being this close to you. Do you see what you just did? You removed performance pressure and replaced it with connection. You reframed the moment from failure to intimacy. And in doing so, you made him feel safe again. Safe men relax. Relaxed men get aroused. And suddenly, what started as a soft joystick turns into an even harder one than before. Not because you forced it, but because you gave him back his confidence. Now let's move to key point number 5, take control with playful leadership. Sometimes what a man needs most when he goes soft isn't reassurance, it's redirection. Instead of waiting for him to recover, you can step into your power and lead the moment. Straddle him, kiss him, tease him, whisper something dirty in his ear. Show him that his softness doesn't stop your desire. In fact, sometimes women don't realize how erotic it is for a man to see her take charge when things don't go perfectly. It tells him, "You don't have to be in control right now, I've got this." And that energy is intoxicating. Think about it. When you flip the script and show him that intimacy is still alive, you turn the so-called failure into foreplay. You turn awkwardness into heat. And here's the kicker: when you lead him with playfulness instead of pressure, his body almost always responds, because you've shifted his state of mind from anxious to aroused. And arousal is about the mind first, the body second. Now, I want to address something really important here. Women often fear that if he goes soft, it means he doesn't find them attractive. But let me give you a truth most men will never tell you. Often, a man goes soft not because he isn't attracted to you, but because he's too attracted to you. Sounds crazy, right? But it's real. When he wants you so badly, when he's overthinking, when he feels like the stakes are high because you matter, he can psych himself out. That nervous system overload can hijack his body. It's not a rejection of you. It's actually proof that you turn him on so much he's overwhelmed by it. So don't interpret softness as lack of desire. Sometimes it's the opposite. Another scenario, maybe he's stressed from work, maybe he had too much to drink, maybe his mind is somewhere else. That doesn't mean you're not enough. It means his body is reacting to his environment. And if you're the woman who can guide him through that, instead of crumbling or withdrawing, you become his safe space. He'll trust you more. He'll open up more. he'll crave you more, because you weren't just there for his hard moments, you were there for his soft ones too. And ladies, let me tell you this, the men who've experienced that kind of acceptance never forget it, because it's rare. Most men have been in situations where softness led to embarrassment, awkwardness, or even rejection. But if you're the woman who turns it into passion, into play, into intimacy, you separate yourself from every other experience he's ever had, you become the benchmark. You become the story he tells his friends about the woman who didn't flinch, who didn't shame him, who made him feel more desired than ever, even when his body wasn't cooperating. And that is powerful. So when you're in that moment, remember these 5 key points. Don't make it awkward, shift the focus, stay confident, and don't blame yourself. Reassure him in a way that keeps it sexy. And finally, take playful control and lead him back into desire. If you do these 5 things, you will not only save the moment, you'll deepen the bond between you, because intimacy isn't about perfection. It's about authenticity. It's about being able to laugh together when things don't go according to plan. It's about being able to still touch, still kiss, still connect, even when his joystick isn't standing at attention. That's when he knows you're the real thing. That's when he feels safe enough to give himself fully to you. And let me tell you one more secret. When you create that safety, he doesn't just come back hard in that moment. He starts to desire you more in the long run, because you've shown him you're not just a lover, you're a partner. You're not just there for the good times, you're there for the vulnerable ones too. And that is the kind of woman a man never, ever wants to lose. Let's take this even further, because I want you to see just how powerful this moment really is when you know how to handle it. Imagine for a second you're with him. The heat is rising, the tension is perfect, and suddenly he softens. For most women, the instinct is to freeze, to panic, or to assume the worst. But I want you to see this differently. I want you to see it as a window into his humanity, a glimpse into the part of him that is vulnerable, the part that doesn't have it all together. Because men live in a world where they feel constant pressure to perform, at work, in life, in the bedroom, everywhere, feel like they've got to measure up. And when his body doesn't perform in that moment, he feels like he's failed. But here's where you come in. If you can meet that failure with love, with confidence, with playfulness, suddenly it's not failure anymore. It becomes intimacy. It becomes connection. It becomes the very thing that brings you closer. Now, think about what most women do in that situation. Some pull away because they don't know how to react. Some laugh nervously, which makes him feel humiliated. Others immediately assume it's about them. Am I not sexy enough? Did I do something wrong? And every one of those reactions kills the chemistry, not because they're malicious, but because they confirm his deepest fear, that his softness is a problem, that his softness means the moment is over. But what if you flipped that script completely? What if instead of making it about the problem, you made it about the opportunity? Because when you lean in, when you touch his face, when you kiss his lips and remind him that you're still here, you're still turned on, you're still with him, something amazing happens. The pressure dissolves, the shame evaporates, and desire has space to breathe again. That's the secret. No one tells you arousal is fragile, but intimacy is powerful, and intimacy always brings arousal back. Let's talk about the psychology of why this works. A man's erection is tied not just to his body, but to his mind. When his mind is relaxed, when he feels free, when he feels safe, his body responds. But when his mind is anxious, when he feels judged, when he's overthinking, his body shuts down. So if you want his body to respond, you've got to give his mind what it needs first. That's why your reaction matters more than you think. You're not just responding to a physical moment, you're speaking directly to his brain, to his emotions, to his self-worth. And when you tell him through your touch, your words, and your energy that he's still enough, that you're still here, that you still want him, you give his body permission to relax. That's when everything changes. Now, I want to share a story. A man once told me about the woman who changed everything for him. He said they were together, and in the middle of the night, he went soft. He was embarrassed, ready to make excuses, ready to shut down. But instead of looking disappointed, she laughed softly, kissed his cheek, and said, "Who cares? I love that I get to play with you all night long." And then she climbed on top of him, started kissing him, and turned it into one of the sexiest nights of his life. He said he had never felt so free, never felt so desired, never felt so connected. And from that night forward, he was obsessed with her. Do you know why? Because she gave him something priceless, the gift of acceptance, the gift of freedom. the gift of being wanted even when he wasn't perfect. That's what men crave more than anything. Now, I want you to imagine yourself as that woman, the one who doesn't panic, the one who doesn't pull away, the one who leans in and says, baby, you don't have to prove anything to me. I already want you. Can you feel the difference in energy? Instead of pressure, there's playfulness. Instead of shame, there's safety. Instead of disappointment, there's connection. And that's what makes him addicted to you. Because you're not just a partner in his hard moments, you're his partner in his soft ones too. And trust me, when he feels that he will never forget you. Let's also be clear, softness is not weakness. Softness is natural. It's the body's way of reminding us that we're human. And if you can celebrate that instead of fearing it, you unlock a deeper level of intimacy than most couples ever experience. Because intimacy isn't just about sex. It's about how you navigate the in-between moments. It's about how you handle the pauses, the stumbles, the imperfections. Anyone can ride the highs, but the real connection is forged in how you handle the lows. And that's why this moment when he goes soft is so powerful. Now, then let's talk about your power as a woman in this situation, because you have more influence than you realize. You can either feed his shame or you can feed his desire. You can either make him feel smaller or you can make him feel bigger than ever. And the way you do that isn't complicated. It's in the way you smile instead of frown. It's in the way you touch him instead of pulling away. It's in the way you keep kissing, keep whispering, keep playing, because you're showing him with every action that nothing has changed. You still want him. You still desire him. And in that moment, you're giving him the ultimate gift, freedom from pressure. Here's something else you need to know. When you handle his softness with confidence and grace, it doesn't just make the moment better, it makes the relationship stronger, because now he knows you're not just there for the highlight reel. You're not just there for when everything is perfect. You're there for the messy, the awkward, the real. And that kind of presence builds trust. It builds loyalty. It builds a bond that other women can't compete with, because while others may flinch, you leaned in. While others may judge, you embraced. And that sets you apart. So let me ask you, what kind of woman do you want to be? The woman who makes a man afraid of failing, or the woman who makes him feel safe to be real? Because when you choose to be the second, when you choose to meet his softness with confidence, that's when you become unforgettable. That's when you become the one he tells his friends about, the one he can't get out of his head, the one he fights to keep in his life. Because you gave him something rare. You gave him freedom. And freedom is the greatest aphrodisiac there is. So the next time you're in that situation, I want you to remember this. Don't make it awkward. Shift the focus, stay confident, reassure him without pity, and take playful control. Those 5 moves will not only turn the moment around, they'll turn him into a man who feels safe, desired, and addicted to you. And that is the true art of intimacy. And let me leave you with this final thought. Intimacy isn't about what happens when everything goes right. It's about how you respond when things go wrong. It's not about how you ride the highs. It's about how you handle the dips, because those dips are inevitable. They will happen. But if you can meet them with love, with confidence, with laughter, and with playfulness, then you transform those dips into the very moments that deepen your bond. That's when he looks at you and thinks, this is the woman I want by my side. Not just because you turn him on, but because you make him feel safe, accepted, and desired in every way. And that, more than any position, any technique, any move, that is what makes you unforgettable. So don't fear the soft joystick. Don't see it as the end. See it as the beginning. See it as your chance to show him who you really are, the woman who doesn't flinch, the woman who doesn't shame, the woman who turns vulnerability into fire. Be that woman, and I promise you, he will never forget you. And if this message resonated with you, if it made you see intimacy in a way you've never seen it before, then don't let this be the last time we talk. Hit that subscribe button right now, because I don't just want you to listen to this once and forget about it. I want to take you on a journey where every single day you learn how to connect deeper, love harder, and build intimacy that most people will never experience in their lifetime. Think about it. You've just unlocked one of the secrets most people will never talk about, something that changes how a man feels about you forever. And this is only the beginning, because there are dozens of hidden truths about attraction, desire, and connection that no one is teaching you. That truths that make the difference between a man seeing you as just another woman or seeing you as the woman he can't let go of. So don't miss out. Subscribe right now. turn on your notifications and be part of this journey with me. Because each video I share isn't just information, it's transformation. It's giving you the tools to create the kind of love and passion you deserve, the kind of love that excites you, fulfills you, and lasts.